Hello everybody, welcome to World of Warcraft Legion Beta. I am Severine. I'm just going to review a couple of classes, see what I like and don't like, and I'll talk about my feelings on each spec for the class. Probably won't go through all of them unless people request them, but I'm going to be starting with the class that I main, Warlock. I played a Warlock since Burning Crusade when I started, and Blizzard's changed a lot about it. And I'm not a fan of most of the changes. So let's just jump right in, starting with Destruction. We'll take a look at talents here, and I'm not a theory crafter, so I don't really analyze the numbers behind class design. Don't expect any in-depth analysis, and opinions I give here might be wrong. I'm just commenting on what I think will be the playstyle of the spec. And like I said, I could be way, way off. But here we go. Backdraft. It's a little different than how it behaves on live. Conflagrate reduces the cast time of Incinerate and Chaos Bolt for 5 seconds. Instead of giving you 3 charges that you can spend however you like, it's just whatever you can push out in 5 seconds. Could be nice. I don't think it's as great as the other talent in this row that I have selected, Roaring Blaze. Conflagrate increases your remaining emulate damage on a target by 50% until the emulate expires or it's refreshed. So essentially what you're going to want to do is cast Conflagrate every time you cast emulate. No problem. The other talent here is Shadowburn. Shadowburn is no longer baseline, it is also no longer an execute. So weigh the pros and cons of that however you like. I'm not too broken up about it because Shadowburn's a pretty shitty execute as it behaves on live right now. Chaos Bolt's a better spell, so Blizzard really fucked up on that one. So, but it's here now if you want it. In the next row, we have Reverse Entropy. Reduces the cast time of Chaos Bolt and Rain of Fire by half a second, and they restore 35% of your maximum mana. This is the big one. Since Destruction no longer has passive mana regeneration, we do actually have to worry about mana now, unless you take this talent, in which case you're back to never even glancing at your mana bar, because it'll always be full unless you're just terrible. The other talent here is Cataclysm. Behaves pretty much the same way it does on live, I believe. I don't use Cataclysm on live ever, but here it's just a basic AoE spell, deals some pretty substantial damage, and inflicts every target it hits with Immolate. So this is basically how you spread your dot for AoE, because as we will see with Fire and Brimstone, they've kind of gutted it. The other talent here is Mana Tap. Consumes 40% of your mana to grant 10% increased damage for 20 seconds. This feels really bad. It might be tuned to be the optimal talent here, but I don't feel good about it. Despite what I said about mana probably not being an issue, I just don't like having to maintain a buff like that. So I probably won't ever use it. I probably won't be playing Destruction in general, but take that for what it's worth. If you don't take Demon Skin, you're wrong. That's really all there is to it in this row. Demon Skin is a great, great passive. Soul Leech is baseline now. That's the talent that used to be here. It gives you a passive health absorb. I believe it's 10% on live, and that might be what it is here. But if you take Demon Skin, which you should, that health absorb can go up to 20%, and you passively recharge that, absorb 1% of your health every 1 second. So that's going to be incredible survival for Warlocks. Big surprise there. We've always been pretty tanky. The other talents are Mortal Coil. Fears a target for 3 seconds, and it heals you for 11% of your health. I mean, that's nice, but it's no Demon Skin. And then Shadow Fury, which seems out of place in this row. Like the other two talents are healing and defense, survival. This is just the AoE stun it's always been, and it has a cast now. It's no longer instant cast, so it feels pretty shitty now. I probably wouldn't ever take this. It feels like more of a PvP thing. I don't PvP ever, so there you go. Next row, we have Eradication. Makes your Chaos Bolt apply a debuff to a target that increases the damage you do by 12% for 6 seconds. Just a passive thing that makes destruction more destructive. We have Fire and Brimstone. It's no longer baseline. You now have to talent into it, and it's not toggleable anymore. If you take this talent, you just AoE everything ever. I'm sure that'll be great for people in my guild. I will automatically break crowd control. That's great. I hope you all enjoy that. But it also only applies to Incinerate now. No more AoE Chaos Bolts, which I completely understand. I'm sure that was very hard for Blizzard to balance when Warlocks could AoE cast Chaos Bolts and it made us gods at AoE. Not the godliest at AoE, but very, very good at it. I understand that. I don't understand why it doesn't apply Immolate as well, but that's what you have Cataclysm for, I guess. If you're going for straight up AoE talents, you take this and Cataclysm and you're basically set. And that's kind of what I feel Blizzard's design is with talents in Legion. You either talent for single target, cleave, or AoE, and you take everything you can, or you're basically gutting yourself. So I don't like that personally, but that's just how Blizzard's going with talents in this words expansion. The other talent is Soul Harvest. It is one of our optional cooldowns for Warlocks, which is kind of nice since they've taken out every single cooldown Warlocks have except for the Doomguard or Infernal. So we only have one cooldown if you don't take any of the talents here. So if you like cooldowns, having some burst, this will probably be good for you. Increases your damage and your pets by 20%. Lasts 10 seconds. You can make it last longer. It lasts 2 seconds longer for each target afflicted with Immolate, up to a max of 30 seconds. I don't think this will be very useful on single target, maybe for burst windows, but just in general, not all that great. More of an AoE talent, but why would you take this when you could take Fire and Brimstone? Next row is our mobility row, except for an odd man out, as you will see. We have Demonic Circle, which is no longer baseline because Blizzard hates us. And it is no longer 2 buttons. You have 1 button that will lay the circle down and then teleport. And I can kind of see the thought process. They're thinking, hey, we need to prune some abilities. Let's just make this 1 button. But if you want to place your teleport circle somewhere else mid-fight, you have to click off the buff where all the buffs are, and that's really a poorly thought out decision in my opinion. So again, Blizzard just kind of hates us. We have Burning Rush, behaves the same way it always has. It's a speed increase, but you also take some damage. And you can't be reduced below 100% of your normal movement speed. I think it's 75% on live, so minor buff there, no big deal. And then we have Dark Pact here for some reason. It's a survival cooldown, so it probably should have gone in the level 45 row instead of Shadow Fury. I don't really know what Blizzard's thought is here, but it behaves the exact same way it does on live. You sacrifice some of your demon's health or your own health if you're using Grimoire of Sacrifice, and you get a 400% health shield. Pretty great for soaking damage or whatever you need to do. It's always been great. It's a great talent. If you don't need mobility, this will probably be what you want to take. Then we have the Grimoire row. Grimoire of Supremacy has been changed. It no longer gives you beefed up pets like it does on live. it kind of takes the place of the level 100 talent that lets you permanently summon a Doomguard or an Infernal. That's what it does now. I have it selected because I hate the other two, but it's probably not as good as Grimoire of Service, which does what it does on live, summons a second demon for 25 seconds. That demon does double damage, and it's pretty straightforward. It's another cooldown. If you want to talent into cooldowns galore, here you go. And then Grimoire of Sacrifice has had its balls cut off. You still sacrifice your demon. This causes your spells to have a chance, no longer guaranteed, to do extra damage, and that damage causes an explosion on your main target that also hits everything around it. So feels like more of a cleave talent, possibly, maybe AoE, but with it not being guaranteed, it feels like you'd be better off using other talents there. And in the last row, we have possibly Blizzard's greatest changes for destruction. We have Wreak Havoc, which makes Havoc last 20 seconds and it has no cooldown, so basically it's permanent Havoc. If you don't have Havoc up on a boss at all times, you're wrong. This is going to be great for cleave fights, like twin fights. This will be the talent you want to take, and you'll absolutely destroy meters, I feel, with this talent. Channel Demon Fire is it's an interesting talent, I guess. It's not what I would take. It launches 15 bolts of Fellfire over 2.7 seconds. It's a channeled ability. And it only hits targets that have Emulate up on them. So this could be either single target or multi-target, depending on how you handle your dot. And that's about all there is to it. It's a very versatile talent, but not all that strong, I feel. And then we have Soul Conduit. Every soul shard you spend has a 20% chance to be refunded. This is the one I've chosen because, unlike Demonology, which bathes in soul shards, and Affliction, which doesn't really use them all that often, Destruction goes through soul shards like mad, and its generation sucks. So that's why I've taken this talent. And now we can take a look at the artifact abilities here. Destruction's artifact is pretty interesting. Our ability is you rip a hole in space and time, opens up a portal that will cast one spell and then disappear. It's an instant cast, so it'll be nice if you've got to do some movement. It'll give you something to do there, or just you can pull charges for some burst. It's got 3 charges, so basically as long as you're not sitting at max, I feel you're doing this spec right. The rest of these are a lot like the old school talent trees. I don't know how many people have remember those, but you've got like your basic increases damage by Emulate by 30%. The kind of gold dragon ones are arguably more important. They do more things for the spec. This one, Conflagrate, has a chance to guarantee your next Conflagrate critically strikes, and it increases its damage by your critical strike chance. That'll probably be really good once we get more into the expansion, where we get some more crit on us. Right now, it seems kind of lame compared to other gold dragon talents I've seen, but maybe it'll pull its weight later. This one, Lord of Flames, once every 10 minutes, so essentially if you're raiding once a boss fight, your Infernal's Meteor Strike will summon 3 additional Infernals to serve you for 25 seconds. That is a pretty badass move. It kind of reminds me of Archimonde's Infernal summoning. The problem with this is the Infernal is your AoE minion, and the Doomguard is your single target minion. So if you've got permanent Grimoire of Supremacy there, you're going to have to switch your pets out, and that'll be really obnoxious, I feel. Or you're just going to gimp yourself on fights where you just have the Infernal out all the time. Not what I would do. And then our last Gold Dragon talent Incinerate has a 6% chance to grant a charge of Dimensional Rift. It's just a passive thing that happens in the background so that you've got more rifts to spawn. So those are the big things. I won't go over the smaller talents. So I'll just kind of show you what this looks like here. Alright, so we start off applying Immolate, Conflagrate. Incinerate does fuck all. It's just what you cast when you can't cast anything else, because it no longer generates embers, which are soul shards now, but your generators are Immolate, has a small chance to generate a shard, and Conflagrate guarantees a shard. So that's how that works. Chaos Bolt kind of hits like a wet noodle, and that just disappoints me immensely, because in the olden days, youngins, when Chaos Bolt was first introduced, and up until WoD, really, it was the fuck everything in this general direction spell. If that went off, either in PvP or PvE, whatever you pointed that at was kind of fucked. It did absolutely massive damage. I remember when it was first introduced, I think in the Wrath pre-patch in Burning Crusade, it even ignored absorbs and shields, so fuck paladins. It was great. Now, ever since WoD, it's been completely neutered, and I hate it. But that's what Blizzard's design philosophy appears to be, is everything sucks for destruction. Chaos Bolt takes 2 shards, like I said. Destruction's a very soul shard heavy spec compared to the other two. This will probably be better, again, when we get later in the expansion. We get some more crit, so we're generating embers more reliably. Our other soul shard spender is Rain of Fire. It's our AoE move, that's baseline. The other ones you have to talent into. It costs 3 soul shards. It has a cast time. It's not instant cast, but it's not channeled either. So, that's kind of nice, I guess. And it's a lot better than WoD, where they gutted it and it's not worth casting anymore. But it's still, I feel, not a great spell just to have for baseline AoE. You're not going to be doing any significant damage in encounters with it. So, yeah, I don't know. But that is Destruction. So, see you guys next time. We'll take a look at Affliction and then my favorite spec, Demonology. So, see you next time.